Hello, my name is Dexter Bailey, and I'd like to debunk a myth that many may think is true. Now, this myth is referred to in the article Debunking Neuromyths by Christopher Berglund. All right, so many of you may have thought that at night, when we go to sleep, nothing's going on other than we're dreaming. Of course, according to Christopher Berglund, when we are asleep, our brain works. And not only does it works 24 hours a day, whether we're awoke or asleep. That means all night our brain is working tirelessly. Now, get this, the brain goes through not one, not two, but five stages of sleep. One of those stages of sleep are called REM, or rapid eye movement sleep. The other four stages, those are called non REM, or non rapid eye movement sleep. According to Benedict Carey, these five stages of sleep can help us do things such as consolidate our memories and help us think about and refine what we have learned the previous day. As a matter of fact, if you stay up late learning something, and of course, I might not recommend it to everybody, but if you stay up late learning something and then you go to sleep, in the morning, you're probably really going to remember it because your mind is at work all night figuring out what things you accomplished, what things you should keep, like making sense of things with the hippocampus, as it talked about in Carey's first few chapters, and what to get out of your brain. Like how the neocortex says, we don't need this, we're getting rid of it. Carey also talks about that. According to Benedict Carey, there are two schools of thought on sleep. One school of thought, or one theory on sleep, is that sleep is kind of like a time management tool to help us basically not hurt ourselves during times that we wouldn't really need to be awoke anyway. For instance, let's say way back in the day, right? Like prehistoric time, there were saber-toothed tigers walking around and they only come out at night. Well, that would be a good time for us to go find a cave and go to sleep because we don't see as well as saber-toothed tigers. And by doing so, we keep ourselves safe. Or let's think about how the bat, as Carey describes, goes and sleeps 20 hours a day. Now, of course, during those 4 hours when the bat is awoke, the mosquitoes are out playing, and the bat is eating as many mosquitoes as they can. Now, the second theory of sleep, or why we sleep, is for memory consolidation. So, at night, when we sleep, this school of thought is that our mind works on different things that have happened throughout the day. Our interhinal cortex has now moved the information over to our hippocampus, and our hippocampus is making sense of everything while we sleep. But then, of course, it brings in and it involves our neocortex so that we can refine those images and those learning opportunities and those techniques, those new songs that we learned, or those new words and vocabulary words from a new language that we've come across. So those two schools of thought maybe come together as one. When we read Benedict Carey's information, we find that both things are not mutually exclusive. They can actually work together. Maybe on one side it is to keep us safe from ourselves, but then on the other side, maybe it is to also consolidate that information. In the book, Neuroscience, How the Brain Works, it tells us that sleep, it is pretty important. There's a 17-year-old boy who was involved in a study, and he deprived himself of sleep for several days. Well, after this study was done, or after he was done depriving himself of sleep, he couldn't concentrate, he was slurring his words, and he was very, very agitated and aggravated. As a matter of fact, also according to this book, rats, when deprived of sleep, get ulcers and die. Um, we know that sleep is pretty important, but of course, as Carrie tells us, there's no one school of thought that comes together and tells us definitively what is happening while we sleep. We do know, of course, that the brain is actually happening while we sleep. All right, so my final thoughts are that yes, our brains work 24 hours a day. And while our brain is working, while we're sleeping, there's something going on up there, and it's helping us for the next day. It's helping us learn, it's helping us repair ourselves. But I really wonder, how can it help us in class? I've looked at a little bit of the research, and I've seen what other teachers think about how it can help us in class. And they're kind of on the same track of thought as me. If we can just share this with our students, that, getting healthy sleep can help you in more ways than one, maybe they'll try to use that for their benefit. But how we can bring that into the class, the jury's still out on that. I think for now, I might have to sleep on it. Thank you for listening, and my references are right after this.